Hey everybody, happy Monday. It is Kim Peterson here of Uniquely Savvy, and I hope you all are doing well. Yesterday was Father's Day, and I just wanted to share some thoughts that I had on my mind from yesterday. You know, as I was sitting in church, I was thinking forgiveness on Father's Day. Now, my dad passed away and left here back in 2011. So as I reflected on my relationship with my dad, I was finding myself to be very grateful for having done the forgiveness work that I needed to do in order to have beautiful, thoughtful, reflective feelings of my dad here on Father's Day, and to be empowered as a victor and not as a victim, even after he's been gone. And it's a beautiful thing. And so I just wanted to share out a few thoughts, because I do know that Mother's Day and Father's Day, those aren't always joyful occasions for which we give these pat sayings of Happy Father's Day and Happy Mother's Day. You know, sometimes some of our relationships have been hard, or they've been hurtful, or they've been bumpy, to say the least. But I want to share a message of hope, because no matter what our relationships are or were with our parents, we are empowered. We are free to make different choices as adults. You know, we still have that inner child for sure that recalls, the times that our needs didn't get met, or perhaps our voices didn't get heard, or perhaps we weren't nurtured in the way that we needed to be. And, perhaps we actually, had some very hurtful things happen to us as a result of the choices of our dads or our moms. But the beautiful thing is that forgiveness sets us free. Forgiveness sets us free. And I had a really hard time with this topic, especially in my family. I was so hurt. I definitely was rejected and abandoned, literally and physically, from my dad. And if you've heard any of my story before, I've shared how when I was just 6 years old, he went on and my parents divorced, and he took the two middle children and started a brand new life without me. And the two older children were old enough to go live with their friends. But that does something devastating to you when you're just 6 years old. It really, for me, created and it probably reinforced, because I think I already had some issues of not feeling worthy, but it created a stronger perception that I wasn't lovable, that I wasn't valuable or worthy. And what I want you to know is, today, as a grown woman, the reason why I'm speaking out is because I know I'm not the only one who still struggles as an adult with their parents. And I want you to know that sometimes your parents act out of the best of who they are. If your parents grew up and they weren't able, or they didn't choose to do their work, then they're passing on to you their woundedness, or their inability to love on and parent you in the healthiest of ways. With me, what I got to choose was, empathy and love. Even though as a grown woman I felt sad and I felt hurt, I learned to reparent this little girl who did not get what she needed. And in that process of reparenting, I got to love on me and nurture myself in loving ways that perhaps I should have gotten from my dad when I was younger. And in the process of doing that, I also let him go. I let go of the need to make him wrong and to keep him imprisoned. And when I started to do that, my whole life began to change. It was a process. It wasn't easy, but there's something so beautiful about forgiveness. It doesn't mean that this person will never hurt me again or harm me again, but it does mean that I will no longer hold them hostage in my own mind. And in that, again, I become a victor instead of a victim. I become free instead of being imprisoned. I learn to love myself and care for myself in the ways in which I need to be. And in the same way, I can begin to see with loving eyes and see that perhaps my dad didn't get his needs met, or perhaps there was a bigger story there. But I needed to take yesterday and this morning to reflect on that. And so, I wanted to share with you this part is that I was resentful of my dad, my relationship with my dad, long into my 30s. And I remember it was my 40th birthday, and I want you to know this is a story of hope, and I want to encourage you that during the year of my 40th birthday, I remember my dad and I were a bit estranged, and I remember calling him because I wanted to tell him that I was running a half marathon, and I'm not sporty, so that was a big deal. And then my 40th birthday came and went, and I didn't hear from him. And prior to this, Christmas had come and gone, and I hadn't heard from him. His birthday was a week after mine, and I called him to leave him a message, and he didn't pick up and he didn't call me back. Fast forward, it was about 3 months, or 4 or 5. My birthday's in July. This was in October, and I had an intuitive nudge to call my dad. And I remember saying, to God, because I'm a woman of faith, I remember saying, I don't want to call my dad. I don't want to reach back out because I feel like I've done my healing work. I feel like I've done my forgiveness work, but this just felt a little like self-inflicting, like I would be inflicting myself, excuse my crazy hair here, but inflicting myself in ways that were no longer going to serve me. But the intuitive nudge kept coming, and so I called my dad, and when I did, he answered, and it was light and it was loving. It makes me choke up now as I think about it, because it's one of the most sweetest, shortest but beautiful conversations we had, where he said, I love you, Kim, and I got to say I love you too, Dad. And my dad asked me, when are you going to come and visit? And I said, I'm going to come, and this is a big breakthrough. I said, I'm going to come, I just need to save my pennies. And he told me he was happy, and we got off the phone. And I want you to know that it was a week, almost a day to the week, or a week to the day later, that my dad unexpectedly died from a heart attack. Just like that, he was gone. He was gone. And I'm so grateful that I called, right? That I didn't have this self-protective layer around me that said, no, I need to self-protect. And I'm so grateful that I wasn't still punishing my dad so that he would be wrong and so that I would be right. Because if I had, I wouldn't know the truth that I was loved. I wouldn't be free in my heart to love him today, to remember him with honor. And I'm not sure that I would be able to freely love others in that way, because I believe that when we hold on to resentment and anger and bitterness with one person, it doesn't just stay there. It affects our whole mindset, our whole thinking, and we engage and interact with people in the same ways because we're hurting. I want you to know, I felt like Cinderella. I felt like Cinderella, the luckiest little girl, that even though my dad had just unexpectedly died, all of the years of sadness and pain and woundedness that I carried have a different ending. They have a different ending to this chapter. You see, that glass slipper fit, and it slipped all along. But I had to do the work that I needed to do to forgive my dad, and I had to be humble enough to pick up the phone and call him. So these are tears of joy, and this is a message of encouragement. Who might you need to forgive today? You know, maybe it's self-forgiveness. Maybe it's your dad. Maybe it's your mom. Maybe it's your best friend. But forgiveness is a beautiful thing. And I didn't forgive for a very long time, and I was very angry and I was very bitter towards a lot of people. And I was depressed and I had anxiety, and even though things looked good on the outside, I was really hurting on the inside. So today, the day after Father's Day, I just want to say Happy Father's Day to you, Dad, because you and I have a beautiful story and a beautiful ending, and there's no shame in it. I'm really grateful. And I want to share this with you all because I know this is a real deal. The father wound is a real deal, but I want you to know there can be healing, and there can be wholeness, and there can be happiness. So to all of you dads out there, and to all of you who are surrogate dads and big brothers and uncles and whoever that have learned to love and to love well, thank you. Make it a great day. It's Kim Peterson of Uniquely Savvy, championing your confident breakthroughs in your style, your identity, and your brand from the inside out. Bye for now.